Gary Griffith giving a summary of security for Carnival 2023. Carnival 2023, a far cry from the safest carnival in 2020, and the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, abandons his post for Carnival. As a previous Minister of National Security, Commissioner of Police, and now political leader, I take this opportunity to commend the effort and dedication to duty by the thousands of personnel from the protective services and the Defence Force for stepping out again to secure the country during the hectic carnival weekend, and amid the difficulty of seeing those who represent you accepting the slap-in-the-face 4% wage increase offer. But as much as we welcome and applaud the efforts of the majority of these officers, we must also face the reality that what occurred over the carnival weekend, with the 9 murders, stabbings, shootings, even at police officers on patrol, and that of a foreign visitor, the brazen robberies, reports of rape and other assaults, cannot be described as a safe carnival just because someone says so, as the data clearly shows otherwise. And while some may want to throw blame on the shoulders of the protective services, I want to quickly dispel that argument and place blame where it should be placed, which is on the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, who abandoned his post virtually to revel and play mass. In the last quarter century, in the last 25 odd years in this country, where we had various ministers of national security from Brigadier General Joseph Theodore, Howard Chinley, Martin Joseph, Brigadier John Sandy, Jack Warner, Emmanuel George, Gary Griffith, Brigadier Carl Alfonso, General Eddie Dillon, and Stuart Young, none of these past 10 security ministers in the last 25 years would have been so irresponsible to shirk their responsibility, play en masse, on the two most difficult days for national security operations for the year. This is Hines clearly showing his inability to understand his role and function. This irresponsible behavior also shows Hines' fundamental disregard for leadership by example, and sets a terrible example for other members of the protective services. Thankfully, the thousands of officers who turned up for carnival duty from the Ministry of National Security understood their role and function, in total contrast to the line minister, who was enjoying himself in costume, whilst those in uniform were busy securing the country. The abandonment of posts by Fitzgerald Hines during carnival is similar to a general fighting a battle and telling his officers he doesn't have to be there with them on the day of the battle because they are already prepared. It is simply poor leadership, because on the day, incidents can happen that require the minister to make decisions based on policy. Absence in leadership and command is what probably also caused the failure of an effective response to potentially volatile situations and events such as the annual wrap-up, which takes place on Carnival Saturday down the islands, where hundreds of boats with thousands of people will converge. Not one police, marine, or Coast Guard vessel was deployed, despite everyone except the Ministry of National Security knowing about this event, which has been ongoing for years. But whilst Fitzgerald Hines' incompetence is now legendary, and this government's detachment from the needs of the people they are sworn to serve is well established, the buck must also stop at the head of the National Security Council, Prime Minister Keith Rowley, as the security minister play en masse, instead of showing leadership by example to be alongside those under his command, can only take place if it was endorsed by the same Keith Rowley. I will also caution the Commissioner of Police to thoroughly check her sources, as she has stated that there was a full contingent of officers reporting for duty. Reports that have reached me can confirm that this is simply not true. And in fact, it is a far cry from the 99.3% turnout we had in 2020. Beyond the statistics, however, the public will be able to know for themselves, as the visible presence experienced in 2020, where citizens, inclusive of masqueraders, saw 2 police officers at almost every street corner in Woodbrook and throughout Port of Spain. That heavy presence was notably absent this time around. And again, through no fault of the officers, but unfortunately it was due to poor coordination and the utilization of manpower resources in an effective manner. When we compare what occurred in 2020 with no murders and no violent crime, 2023's facts of all of these murders, shootings, robberies, reports of rape and stabbings paints a very different picture than a safe carnival. And to be clear, we cannot begin to treat a problem if we are not honest with the facts. The last carnival prior to this one, the nation also experienced a virtual traffic-free period. But in total contrast to that carnival, this time around, there was a total absence of a comprehensive traffic plan, as we witnessed gridlock throughout the country, and especially in areas around the Queen's Park Savannah and in roadways in and out of the Western Peninsula. I want to assure the public that unlike Rowley, I will take full responsibility for the safety and security of citizens, and just as was done in 2020 and part of 2021, we will fix our crime problem again and use the same approach in every aspect of governance to ensure a bright, safe, secure, and prosperous future.